Hello and welcome to a small project I've been working on for a while. I've called it Manic Microbes. It's a bit of a spiritual successor to things like Darwin Bots, which I used to work on back in the day about a decade ago. Tried to make a version 2, I think, in XNA and C#. This is written in Unity and Dots. The idea is there's sort of a slide and a microscope that you're looking at and can zoom in and out. And sort of set these structures. I think this circle is about 1 millimeter in diameter, but you can sort of add your own walls to this to partition off sections and create sort of areas to have potentially separate areas of evolution, or just to create your own sort of test bed area. And then you can click on cells to inspect them. These green ones are sort of plant cells, so there's the sort of DNA of the cell, some basic information, and then a list of the components or organelles that created the sort of the structure of the cell. So largely the DNA just sets the structure of the cell, although it can run logic. And there you go, apparently the cell I was inspecting just disappeared, so it's pinged me back here. You can edit the DNA, so maybe we'll have a new strain of plant up here. If I go into the inspector and just edit a new gene in. So we want that to start. Start and stop just means it's going to run this gene once. End will run every time, run it every time it loops around, although this 500 delay means actually it's only going to run it once every 500 times it runs around. And so yeah, this is just to sort of stop it reproducing too frequently. Start, actually it's not, just cut and paste this, which will give it a different colour. If we set that to maybe 480, we don't need the absolute. And hash to stop. So that's just going to run this through once and stop, and it's just going to set the colour. This is the sort of wavelength response, should be on average 480. So I'll make it a sort of light blue colour, I guess. If I just save that DNA, yep. And as you can see there now, what you'll get is essentially a new species that's got this new gene in it that we can track and see how that does compared to these others. Actually, I guess we could make our new species a little bit better by just giving it more chloroplasts essentially. Start. You have some more of these. Okay, so not all of them will, but so these ones won't have it at all. These ones will have the colouring, and there's some of the colouring that have some extra chloroplasts. They should gain energy slightly faster. So what's going on here? So as you can see, we've neatly segregated out species already by the looks of it. There is the purple ones, which are kind of a dumb predatory cell. What does that do? That just builds a mouth and some cilia to move, and then will randomly reproduce. So I think it's got like a 50-50 chance every 500 iterations of this DNA to reproduce. And to reproduce, it just sets a value at memory address 39, which there you go, cell membrane 9, and that's just a command to split. Then it will randomly move and randomly eat, so it's pretty dumb, and it will essentially eat its own kind as well, so it's going to be not not very smart. It's just going to randomly move and randomly eat everything around it. But having said that, that appears to be doing quite well, as it's eating this sort of greenery. This one seems much more mixed. It looks a bit like one of these crazy eye patterns. But what's happening here is intermixed with all the green. We've got a lot of these hunter cells, and the hunter cells have a little bit more logic to them. So again, they build some cilia in a mouth and a light sensor, and then by the looks of this, it fetches what it can see from 50, which will be the output value of what it can see with its eye. If it can't see anything, it's going to run this search code, and if it can see something, it's going to move towards it. And the search code is simply, we've seemed to have picked a random memory variable 29, which is this one here, and it is fetching the value from memory, creating a random number, adding the random number, and storing it back again. And so that's just telling it to look somewhere different every time. If it sees something, it's going to move towards it. And yeah, it looks like I've probably set the energy costs on this a little bit off, because the the plants are out competing everything else by the looks of it. These don't appear to be able to eat fast enough. But that's it. That's the version of Manic Microbes as it currently stands. So we will. I'll carry on working on this and add some more features. There's already sort of functionality in here to add neural net organelles, which essentially just add as sort of a little neuron that you can wire up as a value in between the inputs and outputs, so that you can just tell it to go through a couple of neural net nodes with some weights, and obviously using the DNA essentially to construct how many nodes and what their initial weightings are, and can then train it, and then it'll be that successfully trained neural net which is the thing that's actually then passed on through the genes of the DNA that constructed it to future generations. So far it's fairly performant. I think you've got about 100 frames a second and 36,000 cells, so I'm hoping to be able to sort of have multicellular organisms and things as they pass information around and between them later on. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.